Hello and welcome back to another episode of The Mum Show. On today's show we have April-Joy Serrant, who is a life coach and mum of 3, coming to talk to us about raising children who dream. So get yourselves comfortable and let's get started. Hello and welcome to another episode of The Mum Show. In The Mum Show kitchen today I have Emma Brown, child therapist, Pastor Claire Hooper, and as a very special guest today we have April-Joy Serrant, who is a life coach.
Exciting.
Mum of 3.
Mum of 3.
And you're going to help us encourage our kids to dream, which is so exciting.
Yes.
And today that's exactly what we're looking at. How can we raise children who are full of dreams and full of energy and adventure, and how we can really help them to nurture that. I'm so excited to have you here. So excited to have a
I'm
little
excited
chat
to
about
be
this.
here.
You encourage me to dream, so I'm dead
Oh,
excited
really?
to have the encourage. Yes.
So you've got 3 kids.
Yes.
How old are they?
3 boys. They are 9, 6 and 5.
Okay, and you are also a life coach.
Yes.
And do you find that any of those skills you have in the work that you do with people in helping them find their purpose and find their way, does that ever transpire over to your children at all?
All of it.
Yeah.
All of it.
Yeah.
So a lot of what I do is helping people navigate life.
Yeah.
And that's what a mum's job is. We are helping these little balls of energy navigate life and get the best out of who they are.
Yeah, definitely.
So it is all a whole package. And the skills I've learned in helping other people navigate life, I use in my parenting every day.
So would you say that in your work at all you're trying to help people discover or chase after sort of like a dream in front of them at all?
Yeah, absolutely. So some people know, some people have in them, and they know what they're dreaming. They know who they want to be. They know the avenues they want to take. Other people have no idea. Wow. So there's very, and I think children can be the same.
Yeah, absolutely.
Although I definitely believe that God places in our heart dreams from a very young age. And for me as a mother, I think our job is sometimes to call it out of them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nobody knows our kids better than mums.
Yeah.
And we see things in them. So for me, we call it out of them. We should be looking for avenues. My eldest is naturally a leader. At 2, when we'd go to a play centre, he would, within 10 minutes, he'd have 10 kids following after him. He leads.
Really?
So we often talk in the car on the way to school. He wants to be a footballer. Great, you can be a footballer, but you'll probably be captain of the team because you're a leader. It's in you.
Yeah.
You know, when
And
we
you're
look
already
for
telling
that.
him that now.
Absolutely,
Preparing him for what's to come.
Yeah, growing it.
So it feels like it's actually kind of about not only self-discovery of kind of really knowing yourself and knowing what your likes, dislikes are, knowing kind of what kind of a person you are, but we're kind of able to do that with our children as well by kind of watching them grow, watching them develop, and helping them to tune into themselves and figure out what is it that I like to do, what am I good at, and then from then I guess the dreams. Do you feel like the dreams come later? I don't know. My sense of having somebody to have a dream feels like that's quite a high order. It's like a higher order brain functioning. It's like almost maybe comes a little bit later down the line. But I don't know. I love the idea of you kind of telling your 2-year-old that you could do this. You could be the captain.
I think they do have dreams. It doesn't always mean that is a lifelong dream.
Yeah.
But I certainly think we just naturally foster them to dream by things that they do. You could do that, you could go here. I think it's just actually in role play we foster it, don't we? Are in the things that we give them to do and talking to them. But now I've got my older kids, I look at them, I'm going, I knew you were going to do that because I saw it in your personality. And my oldest is 18 and he's so playful. But the first thing he did when he was born in the first couple of weeks was play. Yeah. He was playing with things and looking around, and he had a curious approach to the world, more than my other two. And I watched it through his life. He'll do anything in a playful way. So when he does things, he's naturally now entered into science, because science is very playful. It's curious, it's experiential, and it's thoughts, and it's like, oh, we could go here, we could discover that, we could do that. And I'm like, oh yeah, I saw that. But it didn't look like science then. It looked like a dream of you being playful.
Oh, that's so good. Because I think sometimes we can confuse it, and parents can become overwhelmed with, what are you going to do?
Yes.
So true,
And
Marina.
dreaming isn't really about doing anything, is it? It's about dreaming and aspiring and imagining and creating. And imagination is a creative force. When you start imagining, you start creating. And so dreaming doesn't need to be, right, what are you going to be when you're older? Okay, so you're playful, so let's get you into science and we'll follow that career path and we're going to see how that pans out. And I think probably, it's just like we need to kind of peel that back a bit. Because I remember at school, people would frustrate me so much because it would be, right, Marina, we need to know, what's your goals? Are you going to go to university? Are you going to do this? Where are we going to send you? I had no idea, because half of what I do wasn't invented at that point. I've actually spent most of my life developing business online. That never would have happened.
How interesting.
Creating even what we're creating here right now could not have happened as easily 20 years ago.
So true.
So I think that it's difficult for us to necessarily structure our children's dreams. And I don't even know that that's our responsibility to do that.
No, I think separating out then achievements, really kind of, separating, it's not about what you're going to achieve, and separating out that actually it doesn't necessarily mean just because this is a dream of yours that it needs to be an achievement. It could just be something that they want to do for fun as well. We've introduced, there's something called a bucket list. I'm sure most of you know what that is. What are the 5 things that you really, really want to do?
Love that.
while you're on this work, in this life, on this earth. And they could be where do you want to go, what do you want to be, kind of the most daring thing you want to do, and these maybe aren't things that they feel they could even do now, but they're things that they could perhaps imagine themselves doing at some point down the line.
Why do you think it's important for kids to dream? Why do you think it's important for us to take them to that place? Could we just leave them to it and see how things end up? Or why should we be going down that road? Why do you do what you're doing?
Because we are all here for purpose. All of us. Even people who don't understand they're here for purpose. We are all here for purpose. And I think particularly as mums, nurturing the dreams that we see in our children. So for example, I clearly remember a conversation when I was no older than 11 or 12. Some missionaries had come through our church from Brazil, and one of the ladies said to me, when you're older, what do you want to be? And I don't know how I knew this phrase, I don't know how I knew this word, but I said, when I'm older, I want to work with women in prostitution. And I remember her face being like, oh.
That's incredible.
And my mum nurtured that dream. She would take me, we used to go to some really rough estates and pick up ladies and bring them to church, and we would go to lots of caravan sites we lived near. She saw something in me. She saw that my heart was drawn to broken people, particularly drawn to women. And she just called it out of me. She didn't know exactly where life would take me. And actually for 8 years, I did work with women on the streets and women in prison. But she saw something in me and called it out. And she didn't say, okay, so you'll go to university and study this because that'll make you. She saw that there was a flare in me, and God had placed something in me that was drawn to that. And I guess as women, like you said, we don't necessarily direct where they go, but it's our jobs to call out what's in them. And we see who's great. Like your eldest son is playful. We see that in our kids. We see leadership in our kids. I have a boy who's very passionate. I have another boy who's very, very kind and loves people. You see it in them, and you just call it out of them.
It's pulling out the qualities, isn't it?
Absolutely.
As opposed to the abilities. It's taking it to a place where we're not worried about what you can or you can't do. Because actually things, and I love the sense that actually a child can learn long multiplication at 83, They can't necessarily learn kindness at 83 if it hasn't been there. So it's those soft skills actually become so important in being able to encourage a place where they've got a platform to really dream from.
You know, when the Bible talks about fanning into flames, like those things, it's not, we sometimes think, oh, flames, it's huge. It's like, you know, it's a bonfire. Fanning into flames means getting the kindling and putting a little spark in it and just blowing really gently until you create a spark of something. And so sometimes when you look at those things and you think, it's flipping huge, and as a parent, how am I even going to imagine that dream for them? God's not asking you to do that on his behalf. He's planted the dreams inside. You would just have to take that person that's in your care and just blow, just blow like life, and I like to sometimes go blow their minds, take them to church experiences they've never seen, experience God in ways that they've never seen God, like just blow their minds about the miracles that God can do.
I love that.
Just a little, it's less responsibility as well then. It's God's dream in their heart.
I love that. Should we have a listen to the kids? We have a little video every time, so we're going to check them out. Here's our kids.
Mum Joy Kids, action! When I grow up, I want to be someone who works at the dentist because I don't mind dealing with blood and I like helping people as well. I want to be a police officer because I want to help people and give them hope and freedom from criminals. An artist because I enjoy it and I like using paints and I like all the patterns.
What do you think you need to do to reach that goal, Jack?
Train a lot, practice, get advice. I need to be able to know how to calm people down if they're like nervous to come to the dentist and to train and practice more.
Awesome. So do you think that God has something unique for each and every one of us to do?
Yes.
Or do you think that we're all going to be the same?
Because we're not all the same, we're all different. And we have different feelings and different emotions and different expressions that we can use. And if everyone was the same and everyone had to have the same thing in life, it would just be a boring world. I think it is important to have dreams because you're using your imaginations. God can be helping you through dreams, so you're not just ignoring the dreams, like you're actually focusing on the dream. It could teach you a lot about God if you have a dream.
Do you think, guys, is there anybody in this life that inspires you, that you go, wow, look what they've done. When I grow up, I want to be able to do something amazing like that?
Paul Jackson inspires me as a police officer because it looks fun. Mummy inspires me because I like all her doodles and I think that I would like to do it too. God inspires me because he's done so much for the world and he sacrificed his own son for us, and he inspires us to do greater things than he really inspires me. I think I can achieve my dreams if I stick hard at what I love and not go off track and decide I want to do something else and then come back, focus on that one thing that I really want to do. When I do my art courses, it makes me think I can achieve it. If I want to do something, God's just telling me to he's telling me to just go on, keep on practicing, doing it, you're doing it. And that's what he's saying to me. He tells me to love everybody, be kind, thoughtful, thinking, imagination, creative. Mummy and Daddy help me believe in myself because they're always encouraging me, and if I ever get something wrong, they don't just leave it, they help me. And we have a saying and it goes, never get disappointed and never give up.
Oh, they're such great kids.
Amazing.
Do you think they have so much wisdom?
They just need to take the show.
Yeah. One of the things I love is that you were speaking earlier, April, about purpose.
Yeah.
And that everybody is built for purpose. Everyone's here. When you listened to their dream, did you notice that they all commented? So one said, I want to be a dental nurse because I want to help people when they're feeling worried. One said, I want to be a police officer because I want to bring people hope and freedom. And I think Lilia was saying, I want to be an artist. And it wasn't even just, because for any elaborate reason, I just love the feel of colour and I just love patterns.
Yeah.
And I thought, isn't that amazing that I think the oldest, Chloe, is 12, is she? Or
I don't think she's quite that one. Yeah.
She's not a tiny one. And yet before they've thought about, I need a house and I need a car and I need a this and I need a that. They are all about purpose, aren't they?
Absolutely.
Totally.
Yeah.
I find that incredible as mums. It's like you were saying, it's kindling something that's already there, that's God-given.
Yeah.
Oh, totally. When I was a young girl, do you know what I wanted to be? A lollipop lady. I want a midday crossing assistant. I don't know if they have that across the world, but in the UK you have zebra crossings and somebody would dress in yellow and they would have a big lollipop stick and they would walk into the middle of the road and stop the traffic so the children could get across safely. And I'm watching that video going, although my mum and dad never didn't embarrass me about that, they never fostered it, and now I'm like, I just wanted to get people free, get them to safety. It's like Moses. I wanted to be Moses. I wanted to be Moses. Let my people go.
Definitely. I can also imagine, how many different people you get to meet in that job every morning. That is so you, Claire. You
maybe I
Your
said one
favourite
day.
place doing the welcome in church.
My absolute favourite place
that
to
makes
go
you
and
on the
say
door.
hello.
That
I
really
could do
makes
that all
sense,
day.
doesn't it?
Love it.
Oh.
Yeah, so I just joined those dots as that video was on.
It's amazing, isn't it? I think those kids teach us so much, don't they? Like the way they're able to navigate around what they want to do. But also, I think little Jack there was saying, when you know your dream, it helps you know God better.
Oh, I loved that.
And I love to capture that because, it says in, Psalms about delight your ways in the Lord and he'll give you the desires of your heart. And that isn't about God, I'm going to celebrate you and you're going to give me that car and it's all going to be good because he's placed desires in your heart, desires for purpose. And when you're celebrating that space with him, I just thought, what insight from such a tiny little boy. Just to me, I thought was incredible. I mean, your comments were, wow, these kids are so integrated.
Oh, yeah, no, they really are. Like, again, that you can tell that those children have had parents who have kind of really, really know them and have helped them know themselves.
Yeah.
These are children that kind of can tune into themselves and to other people.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
So would you say there is anything in your house that you are intentional about to build an atmosphere where your kids are able to dream?
Yeah, so me and my husband dream. And I think monkey see, monkey do. We are big dreamers and we take our kids on the journey of dreaming. I run lots of different sessions where I train and coach people and I often bring one of the kids along. If I bring all three, it goes crazy. And I pay them to take notes and they take notes on stuff that fills their spirits. Yeah. Actually, my eldest boy went into school after one of the sessions and he said he started to tell his teacher and the kids in his class about paradigms and habits.
Wow.
What 9-year-old talks about
Amazing.
that? So they see us dreaming and they see us pursuing our dreams as well as cultivating dreaming in their lives. And not everything goes the way you plan it, but God has given each of us dreams, huge things to reach for, to stretch ourselves for. So we talk about it. Our home, there's never anything that's off limits to talk about, to reach for. Even the most absurd, crazy thing, we can talk about it. I'm sure some of the greatest people that have created these or made their incredible mark in history, I'm sure when they were kids, they never quite believed they would do what they did.
Yeah, absolutely.
But nobody stamped it down. Nobody put a lid on the box. And I think often our society puts lids on the boxes. And if we raise kids in homes where the lid is off the box, it says, keep dreaming. Keep dreaming.
Yes,
Someone's got it. Someone's got to make their mark. Someone's got to change history. Someone's got to rewrite this. Why can't it be you?
Yeah. I love that fits so much with who God is.
Yeah.
Because you're opening that up and you're saying, well, why not? Because if that's your Heavenly Father, if that's who your God is, why not? If He's built you and He's laid something in you, why not? Why can't you go there? I find introducing my kids to the sense of wonder in God.
Absolutely.
You know how David does the Psalms and he's just like constantly using all this poetic language of nature and all this imagery, and it's just, there's so much in there that's inspirational. And sometimes, like my little boy, since he was about 3 or 4 years old, he's presented things. So in fact, younger than that, he naturally presents things. So he would go like this, "Ear my dummy," or in other parts of the word, "Ear my," what do they say in other parts? Dodie or pacifier, or, you know, or he'd go, "Mummy, ear my milk," like that. And he'd present something, or like my picture, like that. But what's really amazing is that he's really started to get into creation, and we really explore that because we could see that that's him. And we went on a bike ride, and he was 5 years old, and he'd just been tearing down a hill, so you'd think he'd be buzzing. And he jumped off the bike, and he just went, "Wow, look at that view." Oh. And I was like, that sense of wonder in my 5-year-old is like, just look at this view. And it's almost lifting the lid on what captivates you, what inspires you. And I think the more we celebrate God in that, the more we point them to the source that's going to get them there. It's like, you know, wow, God made this. How incredible. How incredible. And if he can make that, then those dreams he's planted in you, that's just no problem.
And I think children are born with a sense of wonder, I think.
Yes.
They're born, we often talk about that kind of playful curiosity that children's brains are wired for. They're wired for this kind of, and we need to hook into that because, you know, at some point, and you know, for me, you know, kind of those teenage years can often feel quite crushing to them because, you know, they've perhaps had a vision or had dreams, and then the big wide world tells them, no, that's ridiculous. You're not going to do that. How do you think you can do that? You're not going to be, you know, my little girl wants to be an actress, and I'm, you know, the likelihood of her being a really successful actress, who knows? But I'm certainly not going to be the one that would kind of crush that for her. So it's finding opportunities as well. You know, to kind of, when we see a seed of a dream, is looking for opportunities to help that seed grow and to help build their confidence, you know, and be there perhaps when they do stumble or they do feel like they've kind of hit a brick wall. You know, if us as parents aren't the ones kind of cheering them on and helping them pick themselves back up again, then the rest of the world isn't going to do that for them. And eventually they're going to be able to do that for themselves as well.
But God promises to make the rough places smooth. He promises to keep their path straight. So if we set them, if you find something, you want to be a footballer, right, let's go for this.
Yes.
You might find actually that he isn't a footballer, but he's an osteopath that works in a football team, or you might find that being in the football club leads him to something else and something else. And like you were saying with working with the prostitutes when you were younger, that's not what you're doing now, but it opened that doorway. And we can trust God as parents. We don't have to know the outcome. Because I always say to my daughter, I'm like, you've got long enough. You will be 3 or 4 different things if you want. You don't even have to have one career for your whole life. You can build, and then you can build again. It's like Lego. You can take it all apart and you can build it again, and it's okay to do that.
You can take the word of God, and you know, we're Jesus followers, and we can take his word and go, this is the list of do's and don'ts and a history book of what happened. Or we can go, it's full of people's dreams, and it's full of prose and poetry and allegory and parable and story. It's not all literal, and it was never written to be like that. It was written so that we could dream, so that we could think up and try and encapsulate the character and the nature of God and God's kingdom, but it's written into a book to help us follow Jesus.
April, I'm really interested to know. Obviously, when people come and see you, it's because they feel they need to. It's not from a place of having everything sorted, is it? And so when often I hear people say, and I've felt it myself for my own children, when you feel like they've been crushed, they've had their spirits broken, that will just happen again and again and again. How do you help people, or how would you advise we help our children to pick back up from that?
I think I often go back to what makes you come alive. There is something in everyone that makes their eyes light up. For some people, it is being in nature. For some people, it's creativity. For other people, it's people. You put me in front of people, my eyes light up. For other people, it's music. If you go to the place, go to the thing that makes your eyes light up, often you can find your way back. There is something in all of us, you know, in the smallest child, in the oldest person, there's something that makes us come alive, and it is totally different. Each of us will have totally different places and spaces and things that make us come alive. But when you find that place, lots of people know it, some people don't. Some people are 50, 60 years old, and they have never quite figured out, they've never given the time or the thought, or never given their lives the space to figure out what makes me come alive?
Yeah.
And when we do that, we're able then to begin to navigate again. And it's important for our kids to know that.
Yeah.
What makes them
Absolutely.
come alive.
Emma, you were sharing the other day because your daughter was feeling, she was saying, what's my thing?
Yeah.
What's my thing? How have you handled that in finding, like you say, what makes me come alive? How have you navigated through that to say, well, okay, what's going to make her come alive in that sense?
Yeah, well, I think, I talk a lot about my eldest Libby, and when she was a younger child, she's kind of very, very driven. She never had to kind of ask her about her homework, or she was just, if she saw something she wanted, she would just do everything to go and get it. And actually, she wasn't really afraid to fail or to stumble. But actually, the last couple of years, as she's hit those teen years, she's really, really struggled with self-esteem. She's really, really struggled with that sense of kind of all of a sudden feeling really self-conscious, really exposed. Like lots of young people and teenagers struggle with that kind of sense of comparison. Am I really good enough? And she's really, she has really struggled with it. So for her, it's been about like just spending time with her and trying to figure out where we could kind of find ways that she could use her kind of, her kind of real true parts of herself that somehow she feels are a bit lost at the moment. And actually for her, she was always a bit of a tomboy, but again, because she's a girl and she's kind of going through that kind of pressure, there's, she spends a lot of time, with trying to figure out, her makeup and hair and things like that. But actually, we've got her into in this country it's called the cadets. So as she wants to go into the Royal Air Force eventually. So we've got her into the cadets, and it's probably about 80% boys and 20% girls, and she has absolutely thrived. She's only been going for a couple of months, but she really loves it, and it's given her such a renewed sense of it's a place where she doesn't have to worry about her hair and makeup. Everybody has, there's really strict guidelines about how to have her hair, and there's no mobile phones there, and she probably spends about 6 hours a week there, and she's learning so many new skills, but she's just been able to be herself, and it's given her a renewed sense of, this is my thing. Maybe this is something that I can kind of develop and see where it leads.
Do you think you were able to pull that out from conversation or more observation? Like, did you sit down and talk a lot?
Definite combination, and from just knowing her and seeing the struggle, seeing her struggle in the way that she has done. Her absolute best friend is a very, very gifted sports person. She's probably going to be in the Olympics. So for Libby, that's always been a struggle of kind of, she's got that thing, and what's my thing? Yeah. So kind of knowing that and being able to kind of help her talk through those struggles, talk through what it feels like, to perhaps not feel like she knows what her purpose is yet, or. I think so. The conversation is absolutely crucial, but it also comes from a place of me knowing her and observing her.
Do you find, April, that you were saying how you create a culture of dreaming?
Yeah.
And you've got 3 boys, and boys can be very competitive.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you think creating a culture stops any of that competition because it's less about what are you doing and what's your thing and what's your thing?
I guess with boys there will always be competition. With siblings, I think in general there is always competition. But each of them are very aware that individually they're all very different. And I guess as a mum, part of our job is to celebrate the difference. Yeah. They're not all the same. They're 3 boys. They all look very similar, but they are all very different character. And so I guess when you celebrate the individual, you don't kind of group them all together so much. And we talk about the individual's dreams and, Bentley's leadership, Camara's passion, Lincoln's absolute love for people. And so maybe there is still, I'm sure there is still competition between them, and there probably always will be. But they are each aware of the things that the other one has in their life.
That's so beautiful. I've loved having you on. It's been really exciting. Thank you so much for joining us. And thank you guys too for joining us as well. We will catch you on another episode of The Mum Show very soon. But for now, see you later.
Hello parents, don't forget to say hello. We're at forestcollective.co.uk.